Oh man, this is an emergency video. We just had the FOMC meeting and markets are reacting. We are seeing green here in the markets. Bitcoin now up 3.5% today, back above 85,000. But this wouldn't be an emergency video if I don't have some warnings to share with you. Look, first and foremost, let's clarify. Am I a bear? No, I am not a bear. I'm in this market. My money's in the market. I'm ready to buy the dip with a little bit of cash if we fall lower. But right now, there is hopium in the market. We are pumping green, but you guys know I'm going to share the actual insights and my beliefs on this market. I'm not just here just to enjoy the pump like everybody else. I mean, Ethereum is up 5.8%. You've got Sonic up 6%. It's a nice market today, right? Griffin up 13%. XRP up 10%, of course, at the conclusion of its legal case announced earlier today. I mean, it's a nice day for crypto. But we need to get into what has just happened with the FOMC. So if you've not watched my video from earlier today, I'm going to break it down very quickly to you. And I said that Jerome Powell is in a lose-lose situation, right? He can't do anything right now in either way. There's no situation where he can sustainably get the market to pump. That's my opinion. Now, if we look at what actually happened, we got the pause. Fine, that was never interesting. We knew we were going to get a rate pause. Nobody expected a cut. Therefore, that was done. Then we had to focus on the summary of economic projections, which is what I've got on screen right now. Okay, and in my video earlier today previewing this, there's a few things I pointed out. And the first number I pointed to was this one. I said, guys, watch out for this number. And he did exactly what we thought. Right? He kept it exactly the same as the previous December projection number of 3.9. Now, of course, the economy has changed a lot since then, but he didn't change the number of rate cuts he's got priced in. He kept 2 rate cuts priced in for this meeting because he didn't want to indicate to the market that things are bad. And he's done his job, right? We're pumping to the upside here. Of course, we had the runoff of QT announced as well. I don't think that's as big as people are making out, but it's a good sign, right? They're stopping the quantitative tightening, which is good because it's going to have a net increase in liquidity effect, which is good for the markets, okay? So hold up, do you want to learn how to trade? Then you need to jump into our Telegram community. Link is in the description. In our Telegram community, I share my altcoins. I share how I do my trade setups, how I do my stop losses and take profit, so you could learn to become a profitable trader. Check it out, link is in the description. But when we come back to these numbers, I just want to focus on this bit here. So he kept this the same, 3.9. He kept next year's interest rates the same, projection 3.4 and 3.1. In other words, he says despite everything that's going on with the tariffs and Trump's economic plan with immigration and tariffs and the rest of it, he's not changed these rate cuts at all. They've kept them the same as what they projected in December. And this is their way of saying to the market, we've got this under control. Now, there could be panic behind the scenes, right? There could be panic behind the scenes, but on this side, they're trying to signal to the market, you chill, you calm down, we don't need another route. And sure as hell, he would have got a knock from Trump earlier in the week saying, hey, you know, we don't need any more smoke. The markets are down, we were in correction territory, S&P's got wrecked, Tesla's got wrecked, tech stocks have got wrecked. I don't need you, Jerome Powell, panicking this market any further. You keep it stum. And I think that's what we've got here. But for the keen-eyed amongst us, you'll start to notice some really important messaging in these numbers, which I'm going to break down for you. If you appreciate this type of content, the real stuff, I'm not here just saying, oh, look, Bitcoin is up 3.5%. Let's go to the moon and buy Lambos. That's not what this channel's about. If you like this type of stuff, the boring, nitty-gritty, geeky stuff, smash up the likes, make sure you subscribe. So Trump said tariffs may delay inflation progress, okay? That was one key point that we understood, right? So he's basically saying, look, tariff inflation is going to be transitory. Remember that word transitory when he told us that the pandemic inflation was transitory? Well, yeah, guess what? We're still suffering from it 5 years on. We're still not at your 2% target rate. So when he says it's transitory, don't underestimate how much he's pricing it in. It could be more transitory than they're trying to lead us to believe. So we'll come on to that in a second. He then said there's not a high probability of recession yet. And I think that's one of the things the market likes, is that he says there's not a high probability. There is a probability, it's a moderate probability, but he said it's not a high probability. He also went on to say, look, at any given moment in time, there's a 1 in 4 chance of us being in a recession based on probabilities. So he kind of just, he swerved that one, right? He just swerved that question. He ducked and dodged like George Foreman. He got away from that question. Okay, He then said the following. He said that if the economy remains strong and inflation does not continue to move sustainably towards 2%, we can maintain policy restraint for longer. In other words, he's not averse to staying high for longer if need be. And he's told us this a good couple of times, right? He's not scared to keep Fed funds rate at these kind of 3.9, 4% where we're at for a while if we need to, if the data changes. Okay? So that's what he says. He says if the labor market were to weaken unexpectedly, or inflation were to fall more quickly to that 2% level, then we can ease policy accordingly. Now, look, we've seen inflation start to improve, but maybe it's not improved enough for him, right? Maybe he wants even more improvement in inflation. Maybe he wants a weakening of the labor markets, which we did see a weakening in the non-farm payrolls, but maybe he wants more before he starts easing these policies. So he's, in long story short, he's kept the policy the same. But now look at the change in real GDP. At the December meeting, they projected 2025 GDP to come in at 2.1%. They revised this down to 1.7%. Next year was supposed to be 2%. They revised that down to 1.8. 2027 was supposed to be 1.9. They revised that down to 1.8. So they kind of front load the projection. They're saying, look, we're going to suffer in 2025 while Trump does what he wants. It's probably going to go into next year, and it's going to go into the year after that. So what? You seem to believe that 3 years of the Trump administration is going to be weaker than you had projected before he came into power, right? So they're basically saying, look, we're getting a bit of a slowdown in the economy, and they've marked their numbers down accordingly. Then when you come onto the unemployment rate, they notch that up slightly, right? They notch the unemployment rate slightly to say, look, that's having a little bit of an effect. And remember, they would not touch these numbers. Based on the same principle I told you down here, they would not be revising these numbers if they didn't have to. Ideally, they would have said, nope, everything's fine. They had to put this in because it's that obvious that obviously GDP has fallen, unemployment rate's taken a slight notch upward, and the PCE inflation, they put a notch up to 2.7% versus 2.5% that they projected in December. And this is important. Okay? This is really important. If you look at the PCE core, they revised from 2.5 to 2.8. That's a decent revision, right? You're nearly at 3%, which is not near their 2% target rate. And they've revised this to 2.7%, which again is not near their target rate. So in other words, in a world where we want inflation to be coming down because he's still not cutting interest rates, it's actually going up. And that causes us a little bit of a problem, guys. And I'm going to bring the S word. And it's not the S word you think. Stagflation. This report, as soon as I read it, whilst everybody else was just kind of pumping Bitcoin up to the upside, I got stagflation vibes. I got stagflationary vibes. Now, what's stagflation? Stagflation is when the economy is slowing down, but inflation is going up, right? This is not a good thing. Stagflation is not a good thing. Normal inflation is good, right? If the economy is growing, everything is looking good, disposable income is going up, and you get inflation, that is normal. Stagflation is not normal. Stagflation is when the economy is slowing down, joblessness is going up, and yet inflation is still going up. This is a horrible, horrible scenario for any Fed chief, and of course for economic participants as well. So this is not a good vibe, because they've shown exactly that. They've notched down the GDP figures, they've increased the PCE and core PCE expectations, the inflation expectations, and that wrapped together gives stagflationary vibes. Now, Jerome Powell will just try to remark that this is transitory, right? That this is all because of Trump doing what Trump's doing. Once it settles down, things will get a little bit easier. My view is this report may be hiding the truth. Remember, like I said just 6-7 hours ago when I posted that video earlier in the day, I thought that this meeting, he's going to do the least he can do. He's going to try and keep it a boring one, and he's going to try not to pump the market, but more importantly, not dump the market. Unfortunately, the market's pumping. The market was looking for an excuse to pump, and they've taken this opportunity. They saw the QT rolling off down to 5 billion from 25 billion. They saw that he said, there's not a high probability of recession yet, and they're starting to pump. Do I think this pump is going to last? I think it's going to be difficult. I think the reality is this transitory inflation based on the tariffs is not something that's just going to go away from one press conference with Jerome Powell. No. The fact of the matter is, apart from the QT rolling over, there was nothing meaningful from this meeting other than he didn't cut rates. He didn't do an emergency rate cut because he didn't want to panic the market. He didn't even go as far to, price in an extra rate cut, which would have, again, given the clue to the market that something was wrong. He wanted to maintain this projection that we're okay. The problem is, however, we're not okay. And we know we're not okay because you revised GDP down, you revised unemployment slightly higher, we'll let you off with that one, but it's the PCE and the core PCE revising up that wraps this up into a bit of a stagflationary worry. And my real worry is that if this is him kicking the tire down the road, what happens in May? What happens in the next meeting in May? Because he's probably using this to buy him some time so that he can tell the truth in May, that he can be a bit more aggressive in May and adjust this summary of economic projections in the next update whenever that comes out as well. Okay, so this is the situation I think we're in right now. I think it's going to be a tricky time in the market. I think there's opportunities for things to pump because people are excited, and you know what crypto's like. When people are excited, the thing will pump for a bit. But I still think we could be in a bit of a turbulent period. I still think that could be another 30, 60, who knows, maybe 90 days of Trump doing his thing with tariffs and causing problems. I think the impact on inflation could be a lot more long-lasting. I don't know, right? The April figure's going to come out. I think that's going to be important. I think the April figures would have now had enough time of the tariff stuff going on that it could give us a true reflection of how much of that is passing through into unemployment figures, how much of that is passing through into GDP, how much of that is passing through into, of course, our PCE and CPI inflation readings. And then when Jerome Powell uses that data to go to his next FOMC meeting, I think that's on May the 7th. Don't quote me on that. Let's just quickly check. On May the 7th, in 6 weeks' time, on May the 7th, that's going to be the one. That's going to be the one where maybe if he has to now tell the truth about the economy being in a bit of a difficult position, he might have to stop mincing his words like he got away with in today's report. So guys, sorry to be the bearer of kind of realistic news during the market when it's pumping. Look, at the end of the day, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm in this market. It's not like I'm sitting on the sidelines in cash and saying to you guys, oh no, I'm being a bear. No, I'm in the market. If we pump, great, I'm fine. All I'm saying is I want to be realistic, because if we're going to have a period of a month, 2 months, 3 months of going sideways or even pulling back, it's better that I'm mentally prepared. It's better that I've got cash on the sidelines ready to buy the dip. It's better that I don't hold some of those speculative coins which you might get away with in a bull market, but if we're pulling back a little bit on Bitcoin, it becomes harder to hold some of those altcoins. That's the position I'm in right now, and hopefully that helps you guys as well. If you appreciate this type of content, smash up the likes, do not forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.